The sleek metal ship cut through the darkness of space. Inside, Captain Ta looked at the blue planet on the main screen. His large black eyes blinked slowly as he studied Earth. Behind him, 5 other Krell aliens worked at their stations. Their gray skin shone under the soft purple lights of the bridge. "Is this the next hunting ground?" asked Dury, standing next to the captain. Dury was younger, his gray skin smoother, his movements quicker. "Yes," said Ta. "Our scouts say this planet has many types of creatures, but the most interesting ones are called humans." The Krell were known across the galaxy as great hunters. For hundreds of years, they had visited planets, hunting the smartest beings they could find. They did not hunt to eat or to protect themselves. They hunted for fun, for sport, to prove they were the best. "The humans have no space travel yet," said Ta, touching the screen to zoom in on Earth. "They have weapons, but nothing that can harm our ships or our armor. They will make good prey." Dury looked at the data scrolling on his small handheld screen. "Captain, there is something strange in these readings. Look at these energy patterns from the dark side of the planet." Ta glanced at the screen with little interest. "Probably just their cities or power plants." "No, sir. These readings appear and disappear. They follow a pattern tied to their moon cycles, and they're strongest in areas with few humans." The captain waved his long fingers dismissively. "All planets have odd energy readings. Remember the swamp beasts on Nexus 6? They gave off strange readings too, but they died like everything else." Dury wasn't so sure. He had been on 15 hunts with Captain Ta. He had seen many beings run, hide, and die. But something about these readings made his skin tingle with warning. "Prepare the hunting gear," ordered Ta. "We will land tomorrow near one of their small settlements. We'll observe them first, learn their patterns, then begin the hunt." The ship's computer selected a landing site in a mountainous region on the planet. The area had forests, a small human town, and few technological devices that might detect them. "What about these unusual readings?" Dury asked again. "If we find anything interesting, we'll hunt it too," said Ta with a smile that showed his sharp teeth. "Maybe it will finally give us a challenge." On Earth, Park Ji-ho walked through the forest. The tall trees made shadows on the ground as the sun began to set. As the local forest ranger, he knew every path, every tree, and every animal in these woods. Lately, something felt wrong. The birds had been too quiet. The deer had moved to the south part of the forest. Even the insects seemed nervous. Ji-ho stopped and looked up at the darkening sky. The moon would be full in 3 days. He felt the familiar tightness in his chest that always came before a full moon. Since he was a teenager, the full moon had brought him pain and fear. It was his secret, something no one in the small town knew. He checked his watch. Time to head back. He had to prepare for the coming moon. He needed to make sure his cabin deep in the forest was ready, the place where he locked himself away when the change came. As he turned to leave, a flash of light high in the sky caught his eye. Too fast for a plane, too large for a shooting star. It seemed to slow down, then disappear behind the mountain. "Strange," he muttered to himself. A cold feeling spread through his body. Something was coming. He could feel it, like an animal senses a storm. Unknown to Ji-ho, miles above him, the Krell hunting ship was entering Earth's atmosphere, its cloaking shields hiding it from human technology. Captain Ta and his hunters were preparing their weapons, their traps, and their collection containers. They had hunted 100 species on dozens of worlds. None had ever given them real sport. They didn't know that on this hunt, everything would change. The Krell ship landed silently in a clearing deep in the forest. No human eyes saw it touch down. The ship's outer skin changed color to match the trees and rocks around it. Captain Ta stepped out first, breathing in the cool night air of Earth. He wore a tight-fitting suit that shimmered slightly, bending light around him. Not perfect invisibility, but enough to make him hard to see in shadows. "The air is good," he said to the others. "Rich in oxygen. We won't need breathing masks." Dury and 3 other hunters followed their captain out of the ship. Each carried packs of equipment, traps, scanners, weapons that could stun or kill. "Remember," said Ty, "this is a research trip first. We watch the humans, learn their habits. No hunting until we understand our prey." The aliens moved through the forest like ghosts. Their feet made almost no sound on the leaves and twigs. Their technology let them see in the dark as if it were day. "The settlement is 5 miles that way," said Dury, pointing east. "We should reach it before their sun rises." As they walked, small forest animals ran from their path. The aliens didn't notice. They were looking for bigger game. Jiho woke up with a start. Sweat covered his body, and his heart raced. The dream had been so real. Strange shapes moving through his forest. Things that weren't human or animal. He got out of bed and walked to the window of his small house at the edge of town. The full moon was now just 2 days away. His senses were already getting sharper, his body changing in small ways only he could feel. Jiho had lived with his condition for 15 years. Since he was 16, the full moon had changed him into something else, something wild and dangerous. He had learned to control it somewhat, to lock himself away when the change came. But he never felt safe. He looked at the forest beyond his window. Something was out there. He could feel it. His phone rang, making him jump. "Hello. Jiho, it's Minji. Sorry to call so early." Kim Minji was the town's only doctor and one of Jiho's few friends. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Old man Sungmin came to the clinic last night. He said he saw lights in the sky and strange noises near his farm. I thought you should know since it's in your forest area." Jiho frowned. Han Sungmin was old but not crazy. If he saw something, there was probably something to see. "I'll check it out today," Jiho said. "Thanks for letting me know." After he hung up, Jiho got dressed in his ranger uniform. The feeling of wrongness wouldn't leave him. With the full moon coming, his instincts were stronger, and every part of him was saying that something dangerous had entered his territory. The Krell reached the edge of the forest as the first light of dawn touched the sky. From their hiding place, they could see the small town waking up. Humans began to move around, getting into vehicles, opening shops. "So primitive," whispered Ta. "Look how they waste time on simple tasks." Dury was checking his scanner. "Captain, I'm picking up that strange energy reading again. It's coming from there." He pointed to a small house at the edge of town, where a man in a green uniform was getting into a truck. "What is that human doing?" asked Ta. "According to their information systems we accessed, he is called a forest ranger. He patrols the natural areas." Tay's mouth formed what passed for a smile among the Krell. "Perfect. He will be alone in the forest. An excellent first subject to study." "Should we follow him?" asked one of the other hunters. "Yes," said Ta. "But Maru, you stay here and watch the town. Learn their patterns. We will track this ranger and see where he goes." The aliens split up. Maru found a hidden spot on a hill overlooking the town, while Ta, Dury, and the others moved back into the forest. As Jiho drove his truck towards Sungmin's farm, he had no idea he was being followed. But as the morning went on, the strange feeling in his chest grew stronger. His eyes kept darting to the rearview mirror. Something was watching him. And with the full moon getting closer, the thing inside him, the wolf, was getting restless, eager to come out and face whatever threat had entered their territory. Jiho parked his truck at the edge of Han Sungmin's farm. The old man was waiting for him, leaning on a wooden cane. "Thank you for coming," said Sungmin. His face looked tired and worried. "I'm not crazy, Jiho. I saw something last night." "I believe you," said Jiho. "Show me where." Sungmin pointed to his backfield, where rows of vegetables grew. "I was checking the crops when I saw lights in the sky. Then I heard a sound like nothing I've ever heard before. A low hum that made my teeth hurt." Jiho walked with Sungmin to the field. He looked for footprints or signs that something had been there. The ground seemed normal, but when he bent down to touch the soil, a chill ran through his body. The wolf inside him sensed something wrong. "I'll walk the edge of the forest," Jiho told Sungmin. "You should stay in your house today. Lock the doors." Sungmin nodded. "Be careful, Jiho. Whatever I saw, it wasn't from this world." Hidden among the trees, Captain Ta watched the two humans talk. The translator in his ear turned their words into sounds he could understand. "The Old One saw our ship," he said to Duri. "That is unfortunate." "Should we take him now?" asked Duri, his hand moving to his weapon. Tay thought for a moment. "Yes, he will make a good first specimen. The ranger is more alert and might be harder to catch. We will start with the easy prey." The Krell hunters spread out around the farm, moving silently through the trees. They waited for Jiho to leave, watching as his truck drove away. "Now," said Ta. Jiho drove slowly down the forest road, his window open. He sniffed the air like an animal. The wolf's senses were getting stronger as the full moon grew closer. He could smell things no normal human could detect. Something new was in his forest, something that smelled like metal and a strange, sharp chemical. Not human, not animal. What was it? His radio crackled. "Ranger Park, come in." Jiho picked up the radio. "This is Park. We just got a call from the Kim farm," said the voice of the station manager. "They say their dogs won't stop barking and something scared their livestock." "I'm on my way," said Jiho. The Kim farm was on the other side of the forest from Sungmin's place. As he turned the truck around, a bad feeling hit him. What if whatever Sungmin saw was still at his farm? Han Sungmin was in his kitchen making tea when he heard the noise, the soft thump on his porch. He looked out the window but saw nothing. "Hello," he called, opening his front door a crack. The air seemed to shimmer, like heat rising from hot pavement. Then a strong hand grabbed him, pulling him outside. Sungmin tried to scream, but another hand covered his mouth. He felt something cold press against his neck, and his body went limp. He could see and hear, but he couldn't move. The air shimmered again, and suddenly he saw them. 3 tall gray creatures with large black eyes. They weren't human. They weren't from Earth. "Specimen secured," said one of them in a voice that sounded like metal scraping on glass. Sungmin wanted to scream, to fight, to run. But he could only watch as the creatures picked him up and carried him toward the forest. Jiho was halfway to the Kim farm when the pain hit him, sharp and sudden, like a knife in his chest. The wolf inside him howled in his mind. Danger, territory, protect. He slammed on the brakes and turned the truck around again. Something was very wrong at Sungmin's farm. The wolf knew it. As he drove, faster now, his hands began to shake. His teeth felt strange in his mouth, sharper. The full moon was still a day away, but the wolf was trying to come out early. "Not yet," Jill whispered, fighting for control. Not yet. But as he raced back toward Sungmin's farm, he knew that soon, very soon, the wolf would be free. And whatever these strange invaders were, they were about to learn that Earth had predators of its own. Jiho's truck skidded to a stop in front of Sungmin's farm. The house was dark and quiet, too quiet. No birds sang, no insects buzzed. Everything was still, as if the world was holding its breath. "Sungmin," Joe called, running to the house. The door was open, swinging gently in the breeze. Inside, he found nothing but an overturned chair and a cup of tea spilled on the floor. Sungmin was gone. Jiho's heart raced. His hands shook harder now. He felt hot all over, like he had a fever. The wolf was pushing to get out, drawn by the danger and the coming full moon. He stumbled back outside and looked at the ground. With his changing eyes, he could see what normal humans could not. Strange footprints that seemed to appear and disappear. 3 sets heading into the forest. And among them, the dragging marks of Sungmin's feet. Jiho grabbed his radio. This is Ranger Park. I need help at the Sungmin farm. Han Sungmin is missing. Possible kidnapping. The radio crackled with static. Then a broken response. Repeat, can't hear. Interference. Jiho threw the radio back in his truck. He couldn't wait for help. The sun was setting. Night was coming. And with it, the full moon would rise early. He followed the strange tracks into the forest. The pain in his body grew worse with each step. The change was coming sooner than it should, forced by danger and anger. Deep in the forest, the Krell hunters had taken Sungmin to their ship. The old man laid on a metal table, still unable to move but fully aware of everything happening to him. Captain Ta looked at the human with interest. Not very impressive physically, he said, but their brain readings are complex. This will make a good trophy. Dury checked his scanner again. Captain, that energy reading is stronger now. And it's moving. Coming this way. Ta looked at the scanner with more interest now. How fast? Faster than a human should move through forest terrain, said Dury. And the biological readings are changing. For the first time, Ta felt a tingle of concern. Show me. The scanner display showed a heat signature moving through the forest toward them. But the shape was wrong for a human. It seemed to be changing as it moved, growing larger, moving sometimes on 2 legs, sometimes on 4. What kind of creature is this? Ta wondered. Captain, said one of the other hunters, should we prepare defenses? Ta shook his head. No. Prepare hunting equipment. Whatever this is, it will make a more interesting trophy than the old human. Jiho fell to his knees in the forest. The moon wasn't even visible yet, but he could feel it rising. His bones began to crack and reform. His skin burned as thick hair pushed through. His face stretched into a long snout filled with sharp teeth. He fought the change, trying to stay human long enough to find Sungmin. But the wolf wouldn't wait. The enemy was near. The territory was threatened. With a scream that turned into a howl, Jiho surrendered to the change. His body twisted and grew. Muscles bulged and stretched. His ranger uniform tore as his body became too large for human clothes. Where Jiho had knelt, a massive wolf-like creature now stood on 2 legs. It was 8 feet tall, covered in dark gray fur. Its eyes glowed yellow in the gathering darkness. Its hands ended in long, sharp claws. The werewolf threw back its head and howled, a sound that echoed through the forest. In the Krell ship, all the aliens froze as they heard the howl. What was that? Asked one of the hunters. Dury looked at his scanner, his large eyes widening. The energy reading just spiked. It's higher than anything we've ever recorded from a living being. Captain Tai felt something he had rarely experienced. Uncertainty. Bring more weapons, he ordered. Dury, you're with me. We'll go see what this creature is. As the 2 aliens prepared to leave the ship, Sungmin, still paralyzed on the table, felt a small spark of hope. He had lived in these mountains his whole life. He knew the old stories about monsters in the forest. Stories most people thought were just tales to scare children. But Sungmin had always believed. And now, as he heard that howl, he knew that something was coming for the aliens, something far more dangerous than they could imagine. Captain Tai and Dury moved carefully through the dark forest. Their suits helped them blend with the shadows. Each carried a long gun that could stun or kill most living things. The signal is getting stronger, whispered Dury, looking at his scanner. Whatever it is, it's big. Remember, said Tai, we want it alive if possible. The best trophies can be studied before they're mounted. They moved forward, guided by the scanner. Behind them, the ship was hidden by trees and technology. Inside, 2 more Krell hunters watched over their human prisoner. The forest was quiet now. No night birds called. No small animals moved in the bushes. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Tai raised his hand, signaling Dury to stop. It's close, he whispered. A low growl came from the darkness ahead. The aliens pointed their weapons toward the sound. "Show yourself," called Ta. Two yellow eyes appeared in the darkness, glowing like small suns. They were high off the ground, higher than a human's would be. Duri's scanner began to beep faster. "Captain, the energy levels." He never finished his sentence. Something huge and fast burst from the trees. Duri fired his weapon, but the creature was already moving. A massive clawed hand struck Duri, sending him flying against a tree. His weapon fell to the ground. Todd fired 3 quick shots. The energy blasts hit the creature, making it stumble back. For the first time, Tai saw it clearly in the beam of his weapon's light. It stood on 2 legs like a human but was much larger. Its body was covered in thick fur. Its face was like a wolf's, with a long snout full of sharp teeth. Its hands ended in claws that could tear metal. "What are you?" whispered Ta. The werewolf roared and charged again. Todd fired once more, but the creature seemed to know what was coming. It dodged to the side, and then was on him, knocking the weapon from his hands. Todd felt fear for the first time in many hunts. He pressed a button on his wrist, calling for help from the ship. Then he pulled out a sharp metal knife and slashed at the werewolf. The knife cut the creature's arm, drawing blood. The werewolf howled in pain and anger, but instead of driving it away, the wound seemed to make it even more fierce. It grabbed Ta by the throat and lifted him off the ground. Inside the Krell ship, the 2 remaining hunters heard Ta's call for help. "We have to go help the captain," said one, grabbing his weapon. "What about the human prisoner?" asked the other. "He can't move. He'll be fine." They rushed out of the ship, leaving Sungmin alone. The old farmer was still paralyzed, but he could hear everything. The sounds of fighting outside. The howls and roars. The alien screams. Something was winning against the aliens. Something from Earth. Dr. Kim Minji was closing her clinic when her phone rang. It was the police. "Dr. Kim, we can't reach Ranger Park. His truck is at the Sungmin farm, but he's not there. Han Sungmin is missing too. We're sending officers, but it will take time." Minji's heart beat faster. She knew what day it was. She knew about Jiho's secret. She was the only one who did. "I'll go check," she said. "I know where Jiho might be." She grabbed her medical bag and her car keys. Then she took something else from a locked drawer, a special medicine she had made for Jiho, something that could help him come back from the wolf state if he took it early enough. As she drove toward Sungmin's farm, she saw the full moon rising, huge and bright. Somewhere in the forest, she knew, Jiho was no longer human, and something told her he was in danger. The werewolf threw Captain Tai against a tree. The alien tried to stand, but his leg was broken. He looked up at the massive creature approaching him. "You are magnificent," he gasped. "A perfect trophy." The werewolf snarled, showing its teeth. Deep in its mind, a small part of Jiho remained. It remembered Sungmin. It knew the old man was nearby. It could smell him. The werewolf grabbed the injured alien and growled a single question. "Where?" Tay's eyes widened in shock. The beast could speak. It was intelligent. Before he could answer, the forest erupted with light as the 2 other hunters arrived, weapons firing. Energy blasts lit up the forest as the 2 Krell hunters fired at the werewolf. The creature dropped Captain Tai and dove behind a large tree, moving faster than something so big should be able to move. "Set weapons to full power," shouted one of the hunters. "This thing is dangerous." The werewolf circled through the darkness, using the trees for cover. It could see the aliens clearly in the night. It could smell their strange metal and chemical scent. It could hear their heartbeats, fast with fear. One of the hunters turned as a twig snapped behind him. Too late. The werewolf was already there, its massive form rising up like a shadow come to life. With one powerful swing, it knocked the alien's weapon away. With another, it sent the hunter flying through the air. The last hunter backed away, still firing. One blast hit the werewolf's shoulder, burning fur and flesh. The creature roared in pain but kept coming. Captain Tai, still on the ground with his broken leg, pulled something from his belt, a small silver sphere. He pressed a button on it and threw it at the werewolf's feet. The sphere exploded with a blinding flash of light. A glowing net of energy sprang out, wrapping around the werewolf. The creature howled and struggled, but the net tightened, sending painful shocks through its body. "Now," yelled Ta, "call the ship. Tell them to bring the holding cell." Minji parked her car at Sungman's farm and looked around. Jiho's truck was there, but no one was in sight. The house door was open, swinging in the wind. She took out her phone and turned on its flashlight. On the ground, she saw strange footprints leading into the forest, along with larger prints that had to be from the werewolf. She knew those marks well. She had helped Jiho track his own movements after full moon nights. Taking a deep breath, she followed the tracks into the dark forest. The moon lit her way between the trees. In the distance, she saw flashes of strange light and heard sounds of fighting. Suddenly, a piercing howl cut through the night, a sound of pain and rage. Jiho was in trouble. Minji ran faster, her medical bag bouncing against her side. Inside the Krill ship, Sungman tried to move. The alien drug was wearing off slowly. He could now twitch his fingers and toes, but it wasn't enough. He needed to help whatever was fighting the aliens. He had heard the werewolf howl in pain. The old farmer had lived his whole life in these mountains. He knew the legends. He knew that sometimes men changed into beasts under the full moon. He had never seen it himself, but his grandfather had told him stories. Now, lying on the alien table, he believed those stories completely. With great effort, Sungman turned his head. He could see alien machines all around him. Lights blinked on panels. Strange tools hung on walls. And there, not far away, was a control panel with a big red button. In movies, red buttons were always important. Slowly, painfully, Sungman began to roll himself toward the edge of the table. The two uninjured Krell hunters dragged the captured werewolf toward their ship. The energy net kept the creature partly paralyzed, though it still struggled and growled. Captain Tai hobbled behind them, using a broken branch as a crutch. His face showed pain, but also excitement. "This is the greatest trophy we've ever taken," he said. "No other hunting party has captured anything like this." As they neared the ship, the door opened automatically. They pulled the werewolf inside and toward a large clear container, the holding cell. "Get it inside quickly," ordered Ta. "Then we can study it properly." The werewolf's yellow eyes looked around the ship. It saw the strange technology. It saw the weapons. And then it saw something else. An old human man, reaching for a control panel. Sungman's fingers were just inches from the red button when the aliens noticed him. "Stop him," shouted Ta. But it was too late. With the last of his strength, Sungman pressed the button. Alarms blared throughout the ship. All the lights turned red. A mechanical voice spoke in the Krell language. What did he do? One hunter yelled. Captain Tai's face showed real fear now. He activated the emergency shutdown. All systems will reset, including. The energy net around the werewolf flickered and died. Free from its prison, the creature rose to its full height inside the ship. Its yellow eyes burned with rage. Its teeth gleamed in the red emergency lights. The Krell hunters backed away, reaching for their weapons. But they were too slow. The werewolf attacked. The werewolf moved like lightning in the confined space of the ship. The first hunter didn't even have time to raise his weapon before claws tore through his suit and into his chest. The alien fell, green blood pooling on the metal floor. The second hunter fired, hitting the werewolf in the side. The creature roared but kept coming, slamming the hunter against the wall so hard that the metal dented. Captain Todd crawled toward a weapons locker on the far side of the room. His broken leg dragged behind him, leaving a trail of green blood. His hand reached for a large silver gun, the most powerful weapon they had brought. The werewolf turned toward Tai, yellow eyes glowing in the red emergency lighting. It growled deep in its throat, a sound that promised death. "Stay back," warned Ta, aiming the gun. "This will vaporize even you, beast." The werewolf paused, as if it understood the threat. Then it looked at Sungmin, still lying on the table but now able to move his arms and legs a little. In that moment of distraction, Ta fired. The werewolf sensed the danger and moved with impossible speed. The energy blast missed its head by inches, hitting the ship's wall instead. Sparks flew as metal melted. Before Tai could fire again, the werewolf was on him. The gun went flying across the room. The alien captain found himself pinned to the floor, the creature's hot breath on his face, its teeth inches from his throat. "No, please," gasped Ta. "We can make deal." The werewolf snarled. Deep inside its mind, the human part, Jiho fought for control. "Kill the threat," said the wolf. "Save Sungmin," said the human. The beast hesitated. Outside the ship, Minji found herself in a small clearing. In front of her was something impossible, a large metal structure that seemed to blend with the trees around it. Parts of it were visible, parts hidden by some kind of technology. She heard sounds of fighting from inside. Howls and roars, alien screams, the crash of metal. "Geo," she whispered. She saw what had to be a door in the side of the ship. It was open, red light spilling out. Taking a deep breath, Minji ran toward it. Inside, the werewolf still held Captain Ta pinned to the floor. The alien's eyes were wide with fear. "What are you?" Tai asked again. The werewolf growled deep in its chest. Then, with clear effort, it spoke in a voice that was both human and not human. "Protector." Tai's eyes widened even more. "You understand?" "Yes." The werewolf's jaws opened wide. "You chose wrong planet." Just as it was about to end, the alien captain, a voice called from the doorway. "Jiho, stop." The werewolf's head snapped up. Minji stood in the doorway, her medical bag in her hands. "Don't kill him," she said, stepping forward carefully. "You're not a killer, Jiho. I know you're in there." The werewolf growled, but softer now. The human eyes inside the wolf face showed recognition. Minji reached into her bag and pulled out a syringe filled with blue liquid. "Let me help you come back." The werewolf looked at her, then down at the alien captain. The wolf wanted to kill, to eliminate the threat, but the human inside remembered who he was. With great effort, the werewolf stepped back from Ta. It moved toward Minji, each step seeming more human than the last. "That's it," she said. "Remember who you are." Captain Tai saw his chance. While the werewolf was distracted, he dragged himself to the fallen silver gun. His fingers closed around it. He raised it, aiming at the creature's back. "Jiho, watch out," shouted Sungmin from the table. The werewolf spun around just as Tai fired. The energy blast caught the creature in the chest, sending it crashing against the wall. "No," screamed Minji. Tai aimed again, his face twisted with hate. "You will be my trophy after all," he snarled. But before he could fire, Minji threw her medical bag at his head. The distraction was enough. The werewolf, though wounded, lunged forward with the last of its strength. Its claws found Ta's throat. The alien captain's final shot went wild, hitting the ship's main control panel. Sparks flew everywhere. An explosion rocked the ship. "We need to get out," shouted Minji, helping Sungmin off the table. "The ship is going to blow." The werewolf stood over Ta's body, breathing hard, green blood on its claws. It looked at Minji and Sungmin, then growled a single word: "Run." Together, they fled the ship as flames began to spread through its interior. The forest lit up like day as the alien ship exploded. Trees nearby caught fire. The sound of the blast echoed off the mountains. Minji and Sungmin huddled behind a large rock, far enough away to be safe from the explosion. The werewolf had pushed them there before running back toward the burning ship. "Jiho," Minji called. "Come back." But the werewolf was already gone, disappearing into the flames. "Why did he go back?" asked Sungmin, still weak from the alien drug. "I don't know," said Minji. Her eyes filled with tears as she watched the ship burn. Minutes passed. Police and fire truck sirens wailed in the distance, coming closer. Someone in town must have seen or heard the explosion. "We can't tell them what really happened," said Sungmin. "No one would believe us." Minji nodded. "We'll say it was a small plane crash. That's what everyone will think anyway." "But what about Jiho?" asked Sungmin. Before Minji could answer, something moved in the burning wreckage. A large shape emerged from the flames, carrying something in its arms. The werewolf limped toward them. Its fur was burned in places. The wound on its chest still bled. But in its arms, it carried a metal box with strange symbols on it. The creature dropped the box at their feet. Then it looked up at the sky and howled once more, not in pain or anger this time, but in victory. "What is that?" asked Sungmin, pointing at the box. Minji bent down to look. "I think it's their records, their data." The werewolf nodded. It spoke with great effort, each word seeming to cause pain. "Other hunters must know." Understanding dawned on Minji's face. "You want their people to know what happened to them. That Earth is dangerous." Again, the werewolf nodded. Lights appeared through the trees, flashlights from police and firefighters approaching the crash site. "They're coming," said Sungmin. "Jiho needs to go." The werewolf looked at them one last time, its yellow eyes meeting Minji's. Something passed between them. Understanding, trust, maybe even affection. Then the creature turned and ran into the dark forest, moving away from the approaching humans. The next day, Jiho woke up in his special cabin deep in the forest. His body ached all over. Bandages covered burns and cuts on his skin. He remembered everything that had happened during the night, something that had never occurred before. Usually, his time as the wolf was a blank in his memory. There was a note next to him from Minji. "Rest. I'll be back with food. Everything is taken care of." He closed his eyes, feeling strangely at peace despite the pain. For the first time, the wolf hadn't been just a monster. It had been a protector. His protector. Earth's protector. In a hospital bed, Sungmin told the police his story. A strange light in the sky, an explosion, being rescued by Ranger Park and Dr. Kim. No one questioned him too closely. After all, he was an old man who had been through a traumatic experience. The official report called it an experimental aircraft crash. No bodies were found in the wreckage. The forest fire was quickly controlled. Only Minji, Sungmin, and Jiho knew the truth. Far across the galaxy, the Krell High Command received a data transmission from Earth. The hunting party had not returned, but their final records had been sent back. The Krell leaders watched in shock as the images played. Their best hunters defeated by a creature they had never seen before. A being that could change form. A predator more dangerous than they were. At the end of the recording was a message, spoken in the Krell language by the creature itself. Words it had taken from Captain Ta's mind in his final moments. "Earth is protected. Do not return." The Krell High Command immediately marked Earth as forbidden territory. No hunting parties would go there again. Deep in the forest, under the light of a normal moon, Jiho walked his patrol route. He felt different now. The wolf inside him seemed calmer, more a part of him than an invader. He looked up at the stars and smiled. Out there, alien hunters now told stories to frighten their children. Stories about the dangerous planet Earth and the monsters that lived there. Stories about a creature called a werewolf. Earth would be safe, at least from these hunters. And if others came someday, the wolf would be waiting. The end.